Guys, before we move forward, we do have to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Box.Buzz. For all the latest boxing news, guys, go to Box.Buzz as well as FightSaga.com. But, guys, this wouldn't be a Sunday evening on World Week Radio without the counsel of El Maestro, master strategist and 3-decade fight trainer, the one and only Mr. James Gogue. James, how are you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, Joe, I'm doing good.
Well, I tell you what, since the last time we spoke, man, a lot has happened, and none of it good.
That's usually the case in boxing.
Oh, my gosh. I can't help but laugh, Gogue, because since this has happened, it's been funny. Some fans, for some reason, are celebrating that this is actually happening, and there's the possibility of DAZN calling it quits for DAZN USA and being a part of the American boxing market, right? But for some reason, these fans are celebrating. Do you have any idea why anyone would celebrate a company that's dumped $200 million into the sport of boxing could be exiting in 2021?
The sport is, it's full of hateful people, fans, everybody. And everybody in the business is like that, a lot of jealousy and hate and everything. So I don't pay attention to all that.
Well, yeah, and it's nothing new, and such is boxing. And I'll tell you what else is nothing new is fighter-promoter grievance. This goes back since the beginning of the promoter and the fighter. And since the dawning of network TV's involvement, this is nothing new also. And this is, once again, the growing pains of DAZN USA. First, they started out signing these fighters to these huge money contracts. But as we've seen in the past from Showtime and HBO, well, one of the fallbacks is you better have a stipulation in your agreement that says you have a say in who they fight, or else you're going to be stuck with a big money contract and a big money guarantee, and they're going to be fighting all stiffs, as we found out from Ross Greenberg. As we've seen from DAZN USA, when they have no one really holding these promoters' feet to the fire, giving these promoters free reign and an unchecked pocketbook. I mean, ridiculous. Eddie Hearn paying $10 million for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Danny Jacobs, and another $9.7 million for Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas. So DAZN USA and John Skipper, under poor leadership, boy, they've really made a mess of things. But is this grounds for Canelo to sue both DAZN USA and Goldie and Oscar De La Hoya? Your thoughts on this, brother?
Joe, since I've been in this business, lawsuits are just, a way of, it's normal. It's nothing like a big surprise, because lawsuits go on all the time, not even with the big fighters like Canelo, but there's, fighters, under Canelo, like at the lower league levels, the mid-league levels, the major league levels. It always happens, you know what I mean? It's just the nature of the business. We're in a business where, oh, Jesus, if you don't have a good lawyer representing you, okay, you're in trouble. It's just boxing, Joe. When you boxing, litigation, ungrateful fighters, that's some of the elements that are involved in this sport.
Well, as Don Chargan, God rest his soul, when he was on every Wednesday on World Week Radio, he always told me that it was very easy to create a disgruntled fighter. All you had to do was pull him aside and say, wait a minute, what did they do? How are they treating you? How much did you make in your last fight? What kind of cut do they want? Oh, my gosh. You need to go somewhere else. And it's that simple. And he used to call these people urban advisors, getting into the ear of fighters who don't quite understand the business of boxing. Do you think that's the case here?
there's somebody's whispering in his ear. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Then you get an attorney, that'll tell him, what he wants to hear. And, of course, he's going to believe it. Oh, okay, yeah, we'll fight it and everything. We'll sue. We'll get out of the contract and everything. But he doesn't realize how hard it is to get out of these damn contracts. They're not easy. And the waiting process, Joe, that's what's the killer. See, I've been involved in boxing lawsuits, and the hardest thing is the wait, to go to court to get this thing settled or whatever. And it's the way. In the meantime, where you're waiting, you're not fighting. And when you're not fighting, you're getting frustrated and everything, and you want to, you know what I mean? You get anxious and everything. So that's the thing, and that's the thing, Joe. Is not only the lawsuits, but the time you're off away from the gym. Not the time away from the gym, the time you're away from fighting. Okay, that's how you get better, Joe, live fights. And the more you fight, the better you're going to get. But if you're sitting on the sidelines, like, Mikey Garcia did for 2-3 years, or, it's, what do you call it, Joe? Yeah, it could be very, very frustrating. And you know what, Joe? Canelo's in the prime of his life, 30 years old. And he's going to screw it away by this lawsuit and everything. You know what I mean? Honestly, Joe, I don't think he understands what he's getting into in the timeline of how, if this has to go through a court, federal court, where they're going to make you wait, wills of justice turn slowly. They're going to make them wait. They're going to, because, hey, man, the court system is what do you call it? It's overburdened with lawsuits, okay? And before you go to court, or before you go, your case goes to trial, you got to go through all the other stuff. You know what I mean? Pre-trial, jury selection, discovery, deposition, okay? And that takes, that expands this process a long time. And what else? It's just a long, frustrating process, Joe. And the only people that make out is the fucking attorneys. Their legal fees. So me personally, Joe, I don't know if the attorneys he has right now has sat down with him and told him, hey, this is how long you might have to be. This is how long you might have to sit out and everything. Okay, this is a process. Pop, 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 pop. And Canelo has some. He went through some lawsuits with Tusa Zavala, All-Star Boxing and everything. So he's got a little taste in his mouth. But when he's trying to get out of a contract, it's just a long process, Joe. And the promoter that he's trying to sue could keep you on ice. See, they got the upper hand, Joe. Okay. They could. You can't fight until the thing's settled. Nobody's going to touch you, Heyman, or Arum, or nobody, because they don't want to get sued for torturous interference. So in the meantime, they're talking about maybe getting a TRO, which is like an injunction to prevent Golden Boy from them fighting.
Yeah, temporary order. That's right.
Yeah, well, good luck. You know what I mean?
Well, it didn't work out too well for Andre Ward either. That went through this with Goose and Tudor Promotions several years ago. The only reason why he was released within a year and a half is because of the poor passing of the late great Dan the Man Goosen. And obviously his family didn't want to disclose everything that you know about this, Gogue.
But the thing is, he went through arbitration. See what happens in California. A lot of people don't know. We'll talk about it, Joe, is when Golden Boy or a California promoter signs a fighter to a contract, especially a damn good fighter, they have in their contracts where, instead of going to court, because of the time, the length it takes to get these disputes settled, like I talked about, and the lawyer, legal fees and all that, they have in their contracts that if there's any dispute in the contract, you got to go through before the California State Athletic Commission. So, they usually, what they do is they sign you to their personal contract. Then they go before the Athletic Commission and sign them to a California State Athletic Commission contract, okay? Then when you do that, both promoters are licensed and all that, the fighter's licensed and all that. So what happens is when you do that, Joe, you don't have to go to court. You go right to arbitration, which is a lot faster and a lot less legal fees and stuff like that. Okay, Joe? And you go you present your case before, certain handpicked members of the board, they hear you out and everything. They look at the contracts and they decide if your contract's valid or invalid. Okay, so right now, from what I've heard, Oscar's, they're going to go by what the contract says. Canelo's contract saying that it has to go through arbitration. So that's what they're going to do, is go through arbitration and work it out.
Yeah, when they signed the new agreement with DAZN, Golden Boy Promotions, as well as Canelo Alvarez, Canelo also signed an extension for the duration of the contract, which was 5 years. It's 4 years left on that contract extension. So what is the likelihood of Canelo being released of his obligation with Golden Boy Promotions?
It ain't going to happen. He's too much money for them just to let him go. Hey, Joe, don't forget. Joe, Golden Boy's hurting right now. They don't have a cash cow bringing them revenue. See, people don't know. I was reading an article in Forbes magazine, and Canelo generates 94% of their revenue out of all those deadbeats they have that can't sell tickets and can't generate revenue. He is Golden Boy. 94% of the revenue. 94%. So, see, they made a mistake, and they put all their eggs in one basket. They think, hey, everything's going to go good as Danny. He's going to do his 2 fights. We're going to make millions. He's going to make millions, and the company's going to be prosperous. Well, what happens, when you put all your eggs in one basket? It's like a stock. If you just put all your money in one stock and not diversify, guess what? You know what I mean? That's a huge risk.
Well, when this thing surfaced, it was no surprise to me that Oscar De La Hoya spoke out in defense of his fighter, basically pointing and casting aspersions towards DAZN. And I can understand why, because just as you said, Canelo Alvarez is Golden Boy Promotions. If you remember, when Al Heyman and Richard Schaefer pretty much left Golden Boy Promotions for dead about half a decade ago, if you remember, the only reason why Golden Boy was able to stay in business was because Canelo Alvarez decided to stay with Golden Boy Promotions. He didn't have a contract with Al Heyman. And so, you look at, they've done a very good job of signing and building prospects, but it's not to the point where they can say goodbye to Canelo Alvarez without feeling the financial burden. Can you tell us, do you remember, what is your recollection of the Richard Schaefer debacle back in the day? I know you have some stories about that. Would you like to share with us at this time, man?
Everybody knows. He was Oscar's business partner, best friend, and he stabbed him in the back, basically. Him and Al were conniving behind his back to take over Golden Boy when Oscar was going through his personal problems. And, on purpose, he didn't – all those fighters that he had, all those fighters that were fighting on Golden Boy cards, they never got signed to promotional contracts like Earl Spence, Gary Russell,
Adrian Broner,
et cetera,
Wilder, the Charlo brothers, yep.
They were just fighting on their cards without being, no strings attached. So
Danny Garcia,
they can walk anytime they want. Lamont Peterson, all them guys, they could just walk anytime they want, and so that's what happened. When they were unsuccessful in taking over Golden Boy, Al just said, the hell with it, man. Richard, with working with Richard, backstabbing Richard, they took the fighters, and Al took the fighters. Richard didn't have nothing to do with it. He took he had a lot to do with it. Okay, Al took the fighters and started his own thing because you ain't got them signed the contracts. And I used to tell, and me and Don used to talk about that all the time. And Don used to say, "They're making a mistake. They're making a mistake. Signing, promoting these guys without a contract. They can walk anytime, James." And they did. All of them did. Richard, in his backstabbing thing, stabbing ways. But one thing Richard was good at, Joe, Don always told me the two sharpest businessmen he ever met were Howard Hughes and Richard Schaefer. He said they were the two sharpest businessmen Howard Hughes is the world's first billionaire because Don used to work for him back in the days. And he said Richard's a very, very sharp businessman. And what Richard did was he made that business, he made Golden Boy a profitable corporation, okay? He diversified, okay? He created opportunities, sponsorships, television deals, and all that. Of course, using Oscar's name. You know what I mean? He, that's how he got, that's how he leveraged all these great TV deals, sponsorships. Because Richard, that's his background. He's a businessman, and businessmen know how to create revenue streams. Okay. Now, when he left, the people, the folks over there, there was no extra revenue streams created, and basically everything was dependent on Canelo to make it. And he, like I said, it's like you got $500,000 instead of diversifying your portfolio with different stocks and de-risking your investment. They put all their eggs in one basket, and guess what? It's biting them in the ass right now. That's why, Joe. Now they can't even get TV dates from DAZN. They're one a month. Facebook date, dates on Facebook. Yeah, Joe, they got 80 fighters over there, and none of them. I know a lot of them, man. They complain because I talk to them on Twitter or on social media. They don't even know when they're fighting. 80 fighters, Joe, and and right now what they're doing, Joe, since they don't have no TV dates, they're letting Top Rank use their fighters on their shows, and which is a good idea because they're making great fights with their fighters, with top-ranked fighters. So, but besides that, Joe, they can't even build their own fighters up right now. You know what I mean? And guys like Virgil Ortiz, their top dog in the stable, Ryan Garcia. They supposedly got dates, but nothing's confirmed yet. Okay, you haven't seen no press release out on Ryan Garcia that the contract signed. Is that correct? Everything's
That's right,
official?
and it's because of the uncertainty of DAZN USA. Yeah. Yeah,
nothing's official. And Ryan Garcia is probably their next popular fighter besides Canelo. You know what I mean? And he probably, he's a ticket seller, so he brings revenue in there. But they don't have no, like I said, DAZN to me, when they started offering all that crazy money, I said, man, let me see him deliver. Okay, let me see them deliver. If they could actually deliver what they say they're going to do, and people that come into business and do that, Joe, they usually don't. This game, anybody could talk, anybody could give you a contract, anybody could tell you what they're going to do with this and that. But can they deliver? Okay.
Well, a lot of people have brought up, and it's funny. I just laugh at these fan-made videos on YouTube. People who aren't in the business, never have been in the business, and don't know anything about it. Well, they always talk about, Canelo's going to PBC. Canelo's going to be fighting Charlo next year. And do you see any other promotional entity trying to get Canelo while all of this is going on?
Called no because of torturous interference, okay? You got a guy like Al or Aram trying to steal them away, they'll get sued and they'll lose.
So you look at this, and I'm still trying to figure this out, Gogue, because to be honest with you, all they did was try to sit down and renegotiate terms during this pandemic. And the other alternative would be to claim force majeure, right, which is a common stipulation in a big money contract.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fighters and Golden Boy Promotions, they do not want that because then they'll be without a home and without TV dates. So it's in everyone's best interest to work with the benefactor, the person with the big pockets that's paying all these fighters and staging all of these fights. So what exactly did DAZN and Golden Boy Promotions do to create this grievance and to motivate Canelo to try and sue them? I'm still trying to make sense of this because
Joe, when they cut his purse in half, that was it. Okay, that was nobody likes their money going from $35 million to $17 million or whatever they were on the pay him. That's the main thing. Okay, then you got people start whispering in his ears, like you said. I'm not saying that's probably the case. Okay, when you got people start whispering in his ears, okay, get a lawyer, and the lawyer starts telling you what you want to hear. then they proceed to the. That's Joe. That's the whole story of this. Okay, there's nothing. Golden Boy didn't do nothing. It was DAZN. They cut his money. All right.
Well, they're trying to anyway, but they legally can't. They're under contract, and they don't have any stipulation to do that, as far as I know. Now, that's the problem.
Force majeure or something like that?
Force majeure is basically releasing both parties of their contractual obligations. So, obviously, DAZN is trying to work through this, and Canelo's not having any part of it. Is that what he wants? Does he want them to claim force majeure and be released of the contract? Because who on earth is going to be able to pay him $35 million per fight to fight Avni Yildirim?
Joe, that force majeure works in their favor too. I mean, we can't pay you because of this COVID, unseen circumstances. So we got to cut your purse back, okay? They can. That's where you have the courts to argue this shit out, okay? But guess what? It's gonna, like I said, the wheels of justice turn slowly. It ain't just gonna happen in 3 or 4 weeks that they're gonna go to court, okay? It's gonna be a long time, okay? If Canelo decides to fight him, and okay, sit on the shelf unless you could get one of those bleeding heart liberal judges to side with them and give him a TRO or an injunction against Golden Boy and everything.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what approach they take with their other two big stars, Gennady Golovkin as well as Anthony Joshua. If they try those same two tactics, right, with those two fighters, and are successful in renegotiating those terms on a temporary basis until they can drive subscription rates, I can't see Canelo not getting on board with this. But it's all going to be contingent, I think, and time will tell whether or not they can get Gennady Golovkin as well as Anthony Joshua on board, because that's going to be their saving grace. If they can't get those big three to get on board with taking a reduced amount while they're trying to drive subscription rates back up during this pandemic, you're going to see them pull out of the boxing market in America. I can almost guarantee it. So what is your prognostication, right, for this resolution? How do you see this thing getting resolved if you had to guess,
Gogue? My prognostication. You want to hear my prognostication, Joe?
Let's hear it, brother.
I don't fucking care. That's their problem, not mine. All right, let them do it. They'll figure it. They're grown men. They'll figure it out. I should care.
Oh,
I see it all the time,
man.
Joe. I see it all the time. I just listen. Okay, boom, next. I ain't gonna waste my time or energy getting caught up in their fucking problems. They'll deal with it. They're grown men, and Canelo wants to sue him. Okay, guess what? He's gonna have to wait. Okay, he'll sit on the shelf a long time. He'll get desperate. Oh man, I gotta fight. I'm in the prime of my career, and I'm pissing it away because of this lawsuit. So. And then that's when he'll start. That's when they start running back to the promoter. Okay, let's negotiate. Okay, you know what I mean?
And Don was always very wise, and he told us. And I asked him one time, because Ken Hirschman had just left, and they were looking for a new president of HBO Sports. And I said, Don, why don't you lobby for that position? Because you would be great at it. You're knowledgeable enough to be able to hold these promoters' feet to the fire and turn them down if they come at you with garbage or want you to sign a fighter to a huge money contract, because he ran the Olympic Auditorium, was the matchmaker there, and he did it brilliantly. And with Eileen Eaton. And Eileen was very wise, and she always stated, look, don't sign these guys to contracts to this venue. If they don't want to fight here, let them go. We don't need them. And that's the approach that you should always have. Obviously, DAZN, they found out the hard way that this is what happens, and this is one of the risks, especially if you don't include stipulations to protect the network and give them a say as far as level of opposition. This is why I'm suggesting, if DAZN really wants to make a genuine go at this, they need to fire John Skipper and hire Big Lou DiBella. He did an amazing job at HBO. Not only was he a Harvard law graduate, a crackerjack lawyer, but that guy also knew boxing. It's one of the reasons why HBO Sports flourished during the 90s. Gogue, can you see Lou DiBella doing a much better job in navigating their course for DAZN USA?
Of course, but they're so screwed up right now, Joe. I mean, they're losing money up the ass, okay? And Lou would come. If they hire Lou, it'd be a sinking ship. He'd be taking over. I don't even think Lou wants to put up with them type of headaches at his age.
Well, I guarantee you this: he would have never allowed $10 million for Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas, or $10 million versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Danny Jacobs. I mean, that's just silly, Gogue. How much, in your professional opinion, how much were each one of those fights worth?
Not that. Try a tenth of that. But, they got Eddie Hearns, too. They thought Eddie would be Boy Wonder and be the superstar promoter in the States. He's not no United States promoter. He's a good English promoter, okay, because he understands the market over there. But he don't understand the market over here. They gave him a ridiculous contract, a 2-year deal with all that money and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But he's all, what do you call it, Joe? He's living off his reputation in the UK. He's not a United States promoter. So they get them giving him that that crazy $100 million a year deal. Oh, jeez. And guess what? Eddie signed all them fighters here in the States, and he can't even get no fights over here because they're not putting on no shows.
Nope. You look at the landscape of the 160, 168-pound weight division, and DAZN has all of those fighters currently. Demetrius Andrade. They've got Billy Joe Saunders. They've got Callum Smith. You've got everyone in and around that weight class, potential opponents for Canelo Alvarez. So what does he do? This is all contingent on whether or not they can work things out with Canelo Alvarez. And to be honest with you, Gogue, it doesn't look good. What these guys need to do is these guys need to be forced into arbitration to work things out like big boys and girls. Jeez. Joe, they could go to arbitration with Golden Boy because it's probably an Oscar's contract. But for DAZN, if he wants to sue DAZN, he's got to go to court. DAZN is not a promoter. They're not licensed by the state athletic commission of California. Okay, it's totally different. 2 different lawsuits. If you want to look at it and everything. Indeed. Well, this is bad, guys, for boxing. I don't know where Oscar De La Hoya and Matchroom Sport would get additional TV dates because it's obvious that Showtime is on a limited budget. Fox isn't willing to expend that kind of money, obviously, to feed all those fighters. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And obviously, ESPN's in bed with Bob Arum. This is going to be really, really interesting to see. Do you think there's any possibility, Gogue, of HBO getting back into boxing? Nope, I don't see it. not with the people not with the top suits they got there now. Nah. Wow. So as the world turns, guys. Yeah. Oh, the soap opera continues. Guys, we'll keep everyone monitored on this, but let's move on. Do you have any parting shots or any final thoughts on the Canelo DAZN Golden Boy debacle? No, not at all. Like I said, it's going to, when you got the biggest draw in the United States, Mexico, it's going to hurt boxing. Fans want to see him, and if he's not fighting, it doesn't bring a lot of attention to boxing. But Golden Boy, it's going to hurt the most because the money he brings into that company, he makes them profitable and it keeps them afloat. But with him gone, oh geez, I just can't see how they're going to make it.
maybe this year, but next year, yeah, like I said, and if this issue ain't resolved, which probably won't be, you know what I mean? It'll be Joe, honestly, the next couple of years, you know, when things get worse, okay, there ain't gonna be no more than a couple of good promoters standing left, and right top rank, of course, because they can survive any type of economic condition. They're built for that, okay? And Heyman, because they got that, you know, he's got Showtime backing him for, you know, I don't know how long that's going to last, and he's got Fox backing him. And I don't know how long that's going to last either, you know, the way they do shit over there, you know what I mean? Instead of putting that pay-per-view card, that should be on Fox National, okay, to drive fan interest back to the sport, to grow the fan base, but they want to put it on pay-per-view because of their fucking greed. Whereas Top Rank, they're doing it the opposite. They're putting all their best matchups coming up. They're putting them on ESPN for free, where, you know, fans ain't got to pay in these tough economic times, you know, $75 out of their pocket because of how they're fucking greedy over there. It's going to bite them in the fucking ass. You know, the pay-per-view, you know, September, October, November, it's going to bite them in the ass, Joe, because, you know, they're not getting the main thing is, you know, the ratings over there. If they don't get Fox don't like the ratings they're getting over there, Joe, they're going to find something else. You know.
Well, obviously they don't like the ratings because they're not paying for these fights. They're refusing to pay for these fights without the added revenue stream of pay-per-view.
Well, I'm talking about the ratings on their Fox National. You know, whether, you know, they put mediocre matchups on a primetime spot. You know what I mean?
No, boy. Yeah.
Or you know, they're what do you call it? You know, instead of putting their best fights on Fox National where everybody can see it, like the Charlo brothers. Ooh, that would be explosive. Have them two headlining a Fox card. Oh, but no, they want to get greedy and put it on pay-per-view. Like, you know, if they get 100,000 buys, I'll be surprised. See, Aram is doing it the right way. Aram is doing it long term. Aram is doing it long term. Build and create a boxing fan base. Oh, fuck. He's fucks shit up always.
Well, and obviously, I mean, and talk about this, because a lot of fans are under the impression that the pay-per-view platform, when a fighter competes on pay-per-view, they think it says something about his bolstered status, that he is now a pay-per-view fighter. What they don't realize is that these fights are being forced onto the pay-per-view platform out of necessity these days. Now, that might have meant something of stature back in the 80s, back in the 90s maybe, and we didn't see that many fights on pay-per-view really, except for the big stars. Now, you're seeing guys who are relative unknowns among mainstream and casual audiences being forced onto the pay-per-view platform because the network refuses to pay for it without the added revenue stream. Like, think about this, Gogue, and I want to get your thoughts on this before we move forward. It was just announced that the Charlo twins, their pay-per-view is going to be at a suggested retail price of $74.95.
Oh,
to be honest with you, Gogue, and you can think through boxing's past, all of the great HBO Showtime Championship boxing fights or Showtime Championship boxing fight cards, that would have been a normal doubleheader on a Saturday night. Charlo versus Rosario and Charlo versus Derevyanchenko. How many times did we see those great fights on regular subscriber HBO?
All the time.
You know what, Gogue? This is also a possible solution if neither one of those fighters want to bend, like Anthony Joshua, Gennady Golovkin, Canelo Alvarez. If none of those three big names want to concede and take less money, then I think DAZN's just going to have to go the route of ESPN Plus with ESPN pay-per-view, Showtime Championship Boxing with Showtime pay-per-view, and Fox Sports with Fox pay-per-view, and they're going to have to start charging pay-per-view prices whenever those fighters compete. Do you think DAZN USA is willing to do that, go back on their word, and charge more money whenever they fight.
That's why they got in this business, to get away from that pay-per-view, okay? That pay-per-view shit, okay? Now, them to go against their business plan, their original business plan, like I said, Joe, I just know right now they're not doing so good financially, okay? A lot of promoters aren't doing so good financially. A lot of fighters ain't fighting out there, okay? You don't see a lot of club shows going on the local level, okay, Joe? It's probably the worst year of boxing I've ever been involved in, and I've been in this since the '80s. But, like I said, Joe, like I said, it's gonna be what you call a bear market for a while.
Wow. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how boxing comes out of this, if it does. Well, guys, we're going to move forward. Speaking of Top Rank and ESPN, they had a fight card on Saturday from the bubble at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And contender Igis Kavelasquez stopped tough man, formerly, he only had one loss in his resume, Canadian welterweight, Mikhail Zuzki, with an 8th-round knockout. Did you get to see this fight, Gogue?
Not really. I've seen parts of it. Like I said, Joe, a lot of fights don't entertain me nowadays. So, if I don't find it entertaining, I just don't even tune in. To me, that was Igis Kubelovsky, whatever that guy's name is. What the hell are you going to do with him? You know what I mean? What the hell are you going to do with that guy? He can't sell tickets, you know what I mean? He's not a really, what you call a very appealing TV fighter, and Zuzki is, he's a good opponent, that's about it. But it was, that Top Rank card wasn't too, what do you call it? It didn't appeal to me, so I didn't even bother watching much of it.
Well, when you look at Igis Kavelasquez, a guy who has great power, but he seems limited in skill set, is he a top-tier 147-pound fighter?
Oh, yeah. He's in that top, he's in that top 5 to 7, but he's not in that elite level like Crawford, Spence, Sean Porter, guys like that. You know what I mean? He's no way he's on that level. He's right below them and everything. Joe, he's just basically, he's a hard puncher, but he's a, stand-up European fighter. That's about it. Fights from one range, long distance. Can't fight at close range. He doesn't have a diverse variation of skill sets like Crawford does, or Earl Spence, or the other fighters in his weight class. And and he's where's he from? Ukraine? Where's that guy from?
He's from Lithuania.
Huh.
Kavelasquez.
How many Lithuanian fans is he gonna attract over here and put in the stands? I mean, who cares about guys like that? Who gives a shit? So the only reason why Top Rank usually after he lost to Crawford, Top Rank usually gets rid of fighters like that because they know, man, what the hell we're gonna do with this guy? Costs us more money. He can't sell tickets. What's his upside? And they usually get rid of him. But the only reason they haven't got rid of him because of the fact Igis Klimas, his manager, has Lomachenko. That's his juice card. That's his.
That's right.
That's his juice card. To keep to stay with Top Rank. Because if Igis didn't have no juice like Lomachenko, man, they would have got rid of him. They would have gave him the pink slip. Bye bye. What are you gonna do with that guy? I'm looking for exciting fighters coming up, man. Guys like Virgil Ortiz that have the potential, to excite the new to draw fans, okay, to develop new fans, okay, that have a hometown where he could fight and pack the place. Igis. What's that guy? What's that?
Igis Kavelasquez. But no, I was going to say, there is one of my favorite prospects in all of boxing. He's going to be competing on Showtime Sports this Saturday on regular subscriber Showtime, and that's Jaron Ennis at 147 pounds.
Yeah, I like to see guys like that, Joe. He's a dynamic, talented prospect. Okay, a multi-dimensional prospect in skill sets like Terrence Crawford, meaning He can fight with high skill level at the right-handed position or the left-handed position. But here's why I think he's better than Crawford. He can fight in the pocket proficiently from the right-handed position or the left-handed position. Equal skill level. Crawford can't do that, not like this guy. And this guy can box on the outside if he has to, okay? Right-handed, left-handed position and everything. But now, right now, Crawford, of course, is a better fighter because he's got more experience and, he's smarter. But when this kid's only, 21 or 22? Oh, you give him more time. You give him more time, boy. He's going to be a star in the business. And, if he gets with a good promoter like Top Rank, they could build him up in Philly where he could be a big ticket seller over there because Philly is a great market, okay, for fighters. They support their own, But right now he's going through a lawsuit right now. I know the details of it. I really don't want to get into it. And it's a big effing mess that him and his dad created but the lawsuit lets him fight though because the promoter that he's assigned to I think Chris Mittendorf, they're letting him fight and everything. But every time he fights, get this, they take 20% out of it, put it in escrow until this lawsuit's settled.
Wow.
Yeah, people don't know
what a mess.
That. Yeah, I know.
Well,
I know.
tell you what.
It's dirty, Joe. It's dirtier than that. There's a lot of things, man. But let's just say they haven't made good business decisions. Okay. All right. And
such as boxing.
Yeah, it's boxing, and they put them in this situation where they're in a lawsuit right now, and they're not going to win the lawsuit. I know that. I don't want to get into details, but I just know for a fact they're not going to win this lawsuit. And the promoter that signed with Middendorf, he's got him. He's got him locked up for a while, and he's going to get 20% of his money. Well, he's getting it right now. They're putting it in escrow, and once they settle this lawsuit, or when it's done, then and not only is he going to be stuck with the promoter, but guess what? He's going to be, all that money they put in escrow. Chris and his attorney is going to get it.
Well, look for him to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
A little information for them gossiping bitches out there that don't know what's going on in the world of boxing.
Well, that seems to be the common thread of this show, Gogue.
Yeah, lawsuit.
But guys, he's going to be featured.
We're supposed to be talking about boxing. Future great matchups coming up in October. Styles matchups, strengths, weaknesses, keys to victory, and we're talking about a fucking like I'm a fucking Harvard law professor, trying to explain it to everybody out there and everything. And I'm not no legal expert. I'm not a legal expert, but my attorney, Mike Miller, is a boxing's best attorney, okay? He's been through countless lawsuits, and he hasn't lost one, okay? And I learned a lot from him on how this game works and how the law and contracts, govern boxing. See, people out there that like to gossip. Contracts are made for one reason, and that's to protect both parties involved, not only the promoter but the fighter, okay? If you try to screw the promoter, well, guess what? He's got a contract, and guess what? He's going to enforce that contract, okay? But if the promoter tries to screw over the fighter, well, guess what? That contract, protects the fighter. It goes both ways, okay? That's what contracts are for. It's to protect both parties, okay? That's one thing I learned when I got into this business and got in a couple of those lawsuits and all the other shit that goes on in a lawsuit, like they're sitting on the shelf for a long time, you can't fight, so this shit. No, that's one of the worst things if you're in this business, Joe, going through a lawsuit. Mikey Garcia found that out, and I mean I've seen it other fighters. It's a long, drawn out, tedious process to get it resolved, and if you don't have a good lawyer like my attorney Mike Miller, you're fucked. You know what I mean? You're fucked. I'm just telling you, Joe, the reality. Okay.
And all the while, the fighter is on the shelf.
If you're a top prospect, and if you ain't got an attorney behind your back, you're basically, what do you call it? You're leaving yourself to get hanged. Because this is a screw you business, okay? One day, you might not screw somebody over, but somebody's going to screw you over, and if you ain't got a good attorney to protect you, guess what? You're in trouble. Oh, I see it all the time, Joe. I could talk a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that my attorney Mike Miller had to put out the fires. Another reason why it's good to have him in your corner. It's not if a promoter screws you over, for example. I'll give you an example. There's a fighter I had a long time ago. The promoter was supposed to pay us $50,000 a year on the third year of our contract when it came up. And so when the contract came up, the third year of the contract, he was paying us $15,000. And of course, I bitched to complain, but that ain't gonna fucking do nothing when you bitch and complain and write letters to a promoter. The only thing they respect is a fucking attorney, sending them legal letters. So that's what I had to do. I had to tell, Mike got involved, and we sued him. We had to sue him to get out of the fucking contract and pay us all the money back they owed us. Okay, all the fights. If you're guaranteed 4 fights a year at $50,000, well, guess what? That's $200,000 they owe you for the year. And if they only give you 2 fights and pay you $15,000, $30,000 for the year, they owe you what? They owe you $170,000. Okay. Now, how are you going to get that money? Yeah, it ain't going to be. You ain't going to get it by going into their office and trying to talk to them fuckers about it. Okay. The only thing they respect is they'll respect a good lawyer when you file that paperwork on them. Okay, and you got to take them to court. Okay. And then you'll get your fucking money. But it takes a long time to do that, man. And the good thing, my Mike is such a good friend, for 20 years, who also represented James Layoff on all the bullshit he got into. You know what I mean? And all the money that they tried to screw him over here, from Don King to that Vlad Warden and all the other promoters out there that try to fucking ship him. He protected James and James got all his money all the time. And he went to court for James probably 3 times and got James his money. Yeah, but he's done that to a lot of fighters. But the thing is, not only protecting you, Joe, if you have to go to court and sue these motherfuckers, but if there's a problem behind the scenes, he has the ability to, negotiate settlements without going to court. You know what I mean, Joe? Putting the fire out at the smallest level without having to go to court and pay $75,000 and all that shit. Okay, he has the ability to settle disputes at the lowest level by verbal communication, and they respect him too, because they know if they don't fucking, if they know they don't play ball, he's gonna take them to court. And it's gonna cost them. Oh, I don't want to get into some of the dirty shit that I seen him do. I don't want to get into the dirty shit that I seen him that I seen happen, and he squashed it at the lowest level. Okay, that's what he does. Because guess what?
Didn't he? I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
See, when the promoters, I don't want to mention it, but I seen it happen when they tried to screw this guy out of money and this and that, and if that fighter didn't have Mike there backing him, they would have never got that money there that night. They would have had to take him to court and all that other stuff. But not Mike. He went up there and told the promoter, hey, you know what I mean? He squashed it at the lowest level before the flames started getting out of control. Okay, that's what a good lawyer does, Joe. Behind the scenes, solves problems. He relieves tremendous amount of stress. Okay, that's why he's my boy, man. I'm a real good friend of his, and like I said, good friends for 20 years. We did a good business together. He trusts me 100%, and I trust him 100%. You know what I mean? And I learned so much about this law business. But the thing is, like I said, Joe, there's shit that goes behind the scenes where they try to screw you out of your money. But Mike knows how to handle it. They respect him. They know his reputation. So, he'll at the lowest level, he'll get the problem resolved without having to fucking file a lawsuit. When he gets back to the office Monday. That's what I mean, Joe. What a good lawyer does.
Let me ask you something, Gogue. What are Mike Miller's thoughts on the Canelo Alvarez debacle?
He thinks Canelo Alvarez lawyer is a fucking amateur. The way they filed it, they listed him as a company instead of an LLC or something like that. They had the wrong address. He goes, fucking goofball amateur. That's what he told me. He thinks they're a fucking goofball amateur attorney. But everything, what does he think about it? The same thing I thought. We talked about going through arbitration. If Golden Boy has that in their contract, they might have to go through arbitration. Then someone was telling me that a federal judge can supersede it and all that shit. But when a federal judge looks at the key that in the contract, Mike gave me one time. He represented a fighter, and Mike tried to go through arbitration and this and that, but I don't know. I guess the promoter wanted to go to a federal, take it federal. So when they went before the judge looked at the contract. He goes, "What are you doing here? This should be litigated in arbitration at the state athletic commission, not with me. But that's what it says in the contract. So why are you trying to take the case before me?" So he threw the case out and he took it to the state athletic commission. Yeah, it was Alfredo Angulo, by the way. And when he was getting him out of one of his contracts, pedal. Yeah, that the judge looked at it and goes, "Man, no. You're in the wrong. You're in the wrong building, man. Look at the contract. What does it say? It says the California State Athletic Commission, where you got to settle dispute, not with me. Bye. Have a nice day. Threw it out. Yeah. So they went before the California State Athletic Commission. That's what they used to do. But Canelo's trying to get a judge to supersede that. But I don't know if a judge is going to be, if he's a real judge, if he's an honest judge, he's going to go with the contract says. And De La Hoya's, I know De La Hoya's contract because, I had a few fighters with him, and I know what it says. You go before the California State Athletic Commission. The reason why, again, like I repeat, they want to go to the California State Athletic Commission through arbitration instead of a federal court. It's because there's a legal fee over the years these fucking lawyers gouge you for. And when you go through the California State Athletic Commission, you don't have to wait 2 or 3 years before you go to court. You can do it within months. That's why De La Hoya, he wants to get this issue resolved, win it, keep Canelo, and get him a fight so they can generate money for Golden Boy. You can see Oscar. Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Oscar even said that. He goes, yeah, per our contract, we're going to go through arbitration, and when we get it resolved, we're going to look for the next best opportunity for Canelo. He didn't say, "Oh, Canelo's you no good son of a bitch, no good motherfucker. I don't want you no more. Fuck you." Nah, Oscar's a businessman. He's like, "Okay, yes, honey, yeah, you're mad at me now, but we'll talk to Granddaddy later on, and when he says I'm right, then we'll play ball together again." Yeah, that's the reason why, Joe. It's smart. I mean, I don't want to go through no fucking. If I have a dispute with my promoter and I know I'm in the right, I don't want to spend a fucking ton on legal fees. You know what I mean? Main Events did that. Pat English, their great attorney, when Main Events was powerful with Shelly Fingles, Dan Duva, they made you go through a arbitrator, man, instead of going through court. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you just got to, pick the right arbitrator. I mean, you got the State Athletic Commission. Yeah. See, a lot of commissions don't do that. California, I think, does it. Nevada does it. I think New York maybe does it, but Texas doesn't do it. Missouri and all them other states, fuck no. They don't have an athletic commission to protect you. No, they don't. No. But Nevada, I think you got to go before the commission if you go to arbitration. California for sure. I'm pretty sure New York too, because that's a heavily regulated Democratic state. So they got all that bullshit. So, but anyway, like I said, Florida. I don't know about Florida. No, Florida. I think you go to court. Yeah, you go to court. But anyway, yeah, Joe, it's real advantageous when you could go to arbitrator. Because man, you're talking about you're talking about hundreds of thousands of legal fees, man. You know what I mean, Joe? It's crazy.
Well, I can guarantee you the Maloney Group, Canelo's legal team, they just had a nice steak dinner buffet, man, on Canelo's tab. Thanks for playing, Alvarez.
Well, guess what? His fucking his attorney, I don't know who the hell he is. I heard he's some Beverly Hills attorney, but when he filed that lawsuit and did it wrong, and the judge threw it out and told him to amend it, that told me right then and there, the guy's a clown. I mean, he's an amateur. Now, just by going off that, he's feeding Canelo a bunch of bullshit. Oh, yeah, we could win the lawsuit. They're going to tell you that, Joe, so they can suck money out of you, okay?
Well, Canelo, we live and learn, brother.
This is a fucking thing, the number one thing I hate about this sport is this shit. These boxing disputes, these legal disputes. I hate it. Fuck, that's the number one thing I hate about this business, and a lot of other things. But these lawsuits and all that are just a fucking just tremendous amount of stress. But guess what relieves it? What's your insurance? Guess what's a good insurance policy from getting all this stress? A good fucking attorney behind your back. I never have to worry about Mike. Mike's my boy, man. Never charged me a penny. Could you believe that? Never charged me a penny, man. When I got the dispute, Mike, I told Mike, hey, man, and he'll take care of the problem. He'll usually try to do it at the lowest level, meaning, sending out legal letters and all that. Then them dumb shits, they think that they get cute and they think they get cute and they think they ignore the legal letters and they don't want to pay you. So that's when Mike starts, ramping it up. And how do you ramp it up? Start taking them to court and force you to, and force a judge to pay you. Force him to have a verdict in your favor, pay you.
Wow. I tell you what, Gogue, what a big mess. And to be honest with you, Canelo, I don't think he realizes what he's done and the problems that he's created for himself. But do you think that DAZN is in the wrong in forcing him? I mean, because obviously what I think is what happened, Gogue, I think this happened. I think this filing of the lawsuit is merely a shot fired, a warning shot fired, basically stating, hey, you know what? I'm not going to take any less than 30%. If you're not going to pay me at least $24.5 million per fight during this pandemic, I'm going to continue with the lawsuit. I honestly think that's... Go ahead, sir.
Do you think DAZN is scared? They got billions. Do you think they're scared of a little peon like Canelo?
No. I don't think Blavatnik gives an shit either way, dude.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They're the one with the upper hand. They could, if they really want to screw Canelo over, they could, or the laws of justice turn slowly. Like I said, Joe, they don't have to go to arbitration. Okay, they could go to, you want to sue me in federal court, okay, and then we're going to make you wait. They'll always delay. You know what I mean?
More than likely,
delay. We need to gather more evidence.
And we talked about this earlier. More than likely, they have venue jurisdiction. They have venue rights. So that means that Canelo is going to have to fly to New York just to file suit, right? And then every time he's about to show up for court, DAZN USA is going to call for an allowance or a continuance and get it postponed, and Canelo's going to go home. And they're going to do that every single
legal maneuver to postpone this.
So every time
Joe,
they postpone it, Canelo's going to fly out to New York for absolutely nothing.
Joe, and you know what, Joe? Look, by the 9th month of this lawsuit, and nothing's getting done, that's when he's going to start getting desperate. Like, oh, shit, oh, man, I didn't know it was going to take this long. See, his lawyer probably didn't tell him none of this shit, the time frames, what to expect, the worst-case scenario, the best-case scenario. They don't want to tell you that shit because you're not going to get their damn business, okay? If they tell you, they're going to tell you nothing but good and rosy things. I'll get you out of the contract, but they ain't going to tell you all the shit you got to go through. But me, I know from experience, by the time you get to that 9th month, you're like, God dang, man, I want out of the contract. I want to start fighting. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's Canelo's problem. Let him learn. Let him learn the hard way and everything. So, and like I said, if somehow he convinces the judge to give him an injunction against Golden Boy and DAZN, which is, it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible, but percentages are lower. So.
Well, speaking of going back to the fights, Gogue, Arthur Beterbiev, it's been reported that he's broken his rib in sparring, so he's out for October 23rd on ESPN against Adam Dines. It's postponed. And when this was brought up, Bob Arum thought of, the possibility of maybe putting on in 2021 sometime down the road, Arthur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. And when he talked to matchmaker Brad Goodman about this, and he said, what do you think of this matchup? Well, Brad said, you know what? I love it. I think Joe Smith Jr. defeats Arthur Beterbiev right now. I found that very difficult to believe, and I even started to chuckle a little bit. Your thoughts on the potential matchup, top-ranked matchup between Arthur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr.?
Be a great matchup because both guys can hit. Both guys are explosive punchers, you know. But what's going to win this fight, like I was talking to you about earlier, Joe, is the guy who could take the punch better. Okay, who could take one's punch better? Okay, when they get hit by their opponent's best bombs. And that Beterbiev from ground up, he's strong as a fucking bull. Oh, he's so strong. He's physically strong, can hit like a mule. And not only that, Joe, you know, he had a deep amateur pedigree, over 300 amateur fights. So he knows how to fight. Okay, he's very patient, calculating, and he makes great adjustments in the fight. So, and he's a good, fundamentally sound fighter, and he works off that jab beautifully. You know what I mean? And like I said, to me, Joe Smith, you know, he could punch, but I don't think he hits hard enough to hurt this guy. This guy is a cold-blooded assassin, that Beterbiev. Oh, he's just real calm and real cool, and he just does. To him, he's like I said, an assassin. It's just his job. He has no remorse or feelings when he hurts you. Okay, and like I said, Joe, he's Beterbiev. You know, fundamentally, he's sound. I mean, he's got a what do you call it? More dimension to his game than Smith. Okay, just because of his big amateur background, dude. The dude had 300-400 amateur fights or something like that, Joe. That's like a guy having 60 pro fights. Okay.
Yep.
So, like I said, Joe can pop, and he's gotten better skill-wise, but he's still you're talking about, on a different level yet. But Herron is good at putting shit like that out there just to build a big fight. To create some buzz about a fight, and it's a good fight. When he said that, I'm like, okay. He's creating some buzz, good. And like I said, that's a great fight, Joe, for ESPN. You know what I mean? That's a real good fight.
Absolutely. So you think that's the reason why that Brad Goodman doesn't believe Joe Smith Jr. can defeat Arthur Beterbiev? They're just trying to create some interest among boxing fans.
I mean, honestly, Joe, what are you going to do with Beterbiev? Okay, after this fight, after he gets that victory, you know what I mean? What kind of you got to create a matchup that's going to get the fans excited. And this fight right here, because of the way Joe Smith looked on his last fight, he coming off a big win. So, everybody knows that killer, stone cold killer Beterbiev is. So, they're going to put that, Herron's going to put that shit out there. Oh, yeah, this is an explosive fight. And that Joe Smith, has the potential to beat him according to my matchmaker and everything. So, yeah, Herron, man, he's good at look, Herron's been around the business, 40, 50 years. He knows how to build big fights, okay? Okay, he's a real promoter. Him and Russell Peltz are the last living legend promoters out there, okay? There's not a lot of them.
Indeed.
There's there's none. They're the last of the dinosaurs. When Don Chargan died, them two are standing, okay? They're real promoters, okay? But, man, like I said, that was a brilliant idea when threw that out there. It kind of like got everybody say, okay, yeah, you're right, yeah. But in reality, come on, man. Once Joe Smith hits Beterbiev with his best punch, Beterbiev, stone cold, emotionless assassin, not even gonna budge. But when he hits Joe Smith is like, oh shit, you know what I mean? He's gonna get hurt. Yeah.
Oh,
he's gonna get hurt.
So for all those Canelo fans,
it's a great fight, Joe. It's a great fight.
It is a great fight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So for all those Canelo fans who insist to me on the forums, on social media, that claim that Canelo could defeat Beterbiev, do you think that's even in Golden Boy and Canelo's plans for the future?
They would after he beat Kovalev, they would have called if they knew 100% they could beat better Beterbiev, they would have took that fight in a heartbeat. But when they saw him how he destroyed that what's that guy's name, Joe? Gvatic, yeah, who's a fucking solid fucking fighter, a solid fighter, and he destroyed him like nothing. Okay, he walked through him like a hot shower with nothing. And every time he hit Bostic, it was like, you could see him shaking. And that's why that Beterbiev, oh, God, he's just frightening. You know what I mean, Joe? Frightening physically, insanely strong, and just crippling punching power, just like a young Julian Jackson. Oh. But, but you need to create some buzz, and Arum is good at that. He's great at that. You know what I mean? If they really want to make the fight hot next year, bring Joel Smith back against an opponent where he looks spectacular, and let Beterbiev fight that bum he's going to knock out. Then people start buzzing. Oh my God! Did you see that knockout by Joe Smith again? Oh my God! He could, you know what I mean? That's how you really create the buzz. Like Arum used to say, put it in the oven and let it bake.
Oh, and there it is, brother. Well, we've gone a little bit over time. Gogue, do you have any parting shots for everybody?
No,
and your
sorry.
Final... No, go ahead, sir.
We're supposed to talk about boxing. But guess what? The fights weren't too appealing last night. I mean, you had that Egus, the Mean Machine, and he not.
Joet Gonzalez was successful as well.
Yeah, Joet came back from a tough loss, and now he's back in the picture. Possibly he could fight the winner of Ruben Villa and that who's that guy, the WBO champion that moved up in weight?
Navarrete.
Emmanuel Navarrete, is that his name? Yeah,
yep.
He could fight the winner of that. That would be a great fight. The winner of them. I think Navarrete is going to win. Villa is a sweet little boxer, counter puncher, cutie pie. But this Navarrete, he's a switch hitting pressure fighter, a switch hitting high volume punching pressure fighter. And I think he'll beat Villa. But him and Joet Gonzalez would be a great fight. You know what I mean? Because they both got styles that that make great fights and everything. Yeah, Joe, you got to put on some good stylistic matchups. Okay. Now Gonzalez is back in the picture after that win yesterday. He beat a solid, a shot, but a good name Mariaga. So his name is hot. Okay. Now Golden gets him another hot win, and fight him against Navarrete. I think he can, if he wins the belt. Then you got another hot fight. That's how you build interest in the sport, Joe. You create great matchups, okay? Not that shit Heyman's doing where he puts his best matchups on pay-per-view, greedy motherfucker. He should be having these on Fox, free where everybody can see. But no, he puts them on pay-per-view. Fucking, that's all greed, Joe. Fuck him. I'm not paying for none of that shit. I'm going to watch it here in Mexico for free.
So let me ask you something. You're not too thrilled about the main event on Saturday on Showtime. Erickson Lubin versus Terrell Gausha.
So, glass chin Erickson Lubin against, opponent Terrell Gausha. I want to see Enos. So Enos is fighting on the card. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jaron Ennis is fighting Juan Carlos Abreu.
Now, I want to see that just because of Enos. He's a young, hot, upcoming talent. I like him. He's good. Like I said, Joe, I don't know how tough he is. I don't know his level of mental intestinal fortitude is. If he's in a tough fight, how he's going to behave, how he's going to react, or how he's going to bounce back from adversity in a tough fight, or how good his chin is. That's something we got to find out. But as far as his talent, that's unquestionable. You can't question his talent, Joe. Fabulous, superb, 5-star, elite level talent. Yeah, that's why I want to see. I want to see him that Enos, and
Yeah, in my opinion, Jaron Ennis, is the best prospect in boxing. In my opinion, he looks to be the eventual future of 47, 54, and 60. Gogue also
let's let him win a 47-pounder, okay? Let's let him win a 47-pounder.
Indeed, brother.
Then we'll
Indeed.
talk about 54.
Well, and I already announced the Showtime fight card. Erickson Lubin versus Terrell Gausha in the main event. 12 rounds for the WBC junior middleweight silver title.
Oh, Mauricio and his bullshit. Oh, Jesus. They can kiss my ass with all those titles, man. Huh.
And
you
then
want to hear a story, Joe?
Let's hear it, sir.
Last year, my guy, Franklin Manzanilla, he fought, Ray Vargas for the WBC title, the real one.
Ray Vargas, yeah. Yep.
Well, to get that fight, he won that bullshit belt, that WBC silver belt and everything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, when we were leaving, we're going to the airport. He goes, hey, carry this belt for me. I go, why are you taking this belt? You're not the champion. Vargas is the champion. He goes, it just makes me feel good. I'm like, I was so fucking embarrassed carrying that belt to the airport, man, because it's a fake fucking belt. You know what I mean, Joe? I said, I told him, man, I don't want to get in an argument, because that's the worst thing you want to do with your fighter. We could fight, get in an argument.
Of course.
I'm like, man, why, man? Why? You're not the champion. I just told him, look, you're not the champion. The champion is him. I would gladly, when you knock his fucking ass out or beat him, I will gladly carry your belt to the airport, okay? I don't want to carry that silver fucking belt. It's a joke. Yeah, I had to tell you that, Joe, yeah. True story. I had it last year.
Well,
Fucking
Ray
joke.
Vargas is another fighter who's currently on the shelf, and he's a title holder.
Yeah.
Well, until this DAZN, and your favorite defensive fighter, Jaime Munguia, he's also on the shelf.
Well, I heard he's coming back in October, hopefully. Jaime Munguia is a young, good, exciting fighter, because he gets hit a lot.
He is an entertaining fighter. Yep, because he has no defense.
Fighter. That's the word, Joe. And he's Mexican, so even though I talk about him a lot, that he likes to block punches with his face, he's got no defense. He's smart as my shoe in there when he fights. You know what I mean? I like to talk about him, but he's getting better, Joe. He showed me better boxing skills, better patience when he fought that Spike O'Sullivan. He showed me better defensive skills. He showed me how he works, how to work off a jab more intelligently. So he's getting better, but to me, Jaime Munguia, I'll tune in to watch him. Not Igis Clovio. What's that guy's name?
Kavalyaskis.
Yeah, a guy with no fan base, a guy that nobody cares about. Who the fuck wants to watch that guy?
Well, I tell you what.
I want to watch guys that put asses in the seats like that. That Munguia, not that Kavalyaskis. I can't even pronounce his name, man.
Kavalyaskis.
Yeah. Okay.
Igis Kavalyaskis. I tell you what, though. I actually enjoy watching Igis Kavalyaskis, and the primary reason why, he has so much power at 147. He punches like a middleweight. He is, so he could be losing a fight, as he was last night. He was behind on two of the judges' scorecards, and he knocked the guy in the next week.
Yeah, Joe.
And Mikkel Zuski's a bigger guy, actually.
He can't put asses in the seats, so who cares? Yeah,
he's got the personality of a stick also. So.
Yeah. See, Joe, this is entertainment business. It's more than just being able to fight. You gotta draw some fans and excite some fans that want to pay a ticket to watch you fight. Okay. Indeed.
We've gone way over time, Gogue, but I tell you what, it's been entertaining. So thank you, brother, for all of your counsel. And that's another thing, brother. These attorneys should be counselors first and be litigators second. Something tells me that if Canelo actually had a counselor, someone who was actually giving him good professional and legal advice, something tells me that this wouldn't be happening in the current time. Instead, you've got a litigator, someone who just is interested in filing suit and making money, devising a little piece of paper that says something that you already know, that you have a grievance against DAZN USA. With that said, brother, your parting shots for our listening audience tonight.
Well, thank you for tuning in. Next week is with the Showtime fight, so yeah, tune in. That's going to be the main event. Who cares? They got Glass Chin Lubin against, boring as molasses, Terrell Goshaw, but they got Enos. Yeah, he's a star. He's the real fighter. Okay, he's the guy with what do you call it? A lot of buzz that he's creating behind him and everything. So, and get this, Joe, he's not even signed with Al. And he's on Showtime. That's how much Showtime thinks of Lubin, okay? I'm not Lubin, Enos. He's not even signed with Al, but he gets to fight on Showtime, okay? That says a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, I tell you what, guys, he's 3-decade fight trainer, James Gogue. Gogue, what a show, man. Thank you so much for all of your counsel. And thank you for your expertise, brother. God bless you. Well, that's going to just about do it. On behalf of Mr. James Gogue, I'm Joseph Herron. Thank you so much for listening to War Week Radio. Guys, and look for us on YouTube. The show will be available in its entirety on our YouTube page. Please subscribe, comment, and like. God bless all of you guys.